I had no idea that it would become, these Moody mini sessions would become something that so many people found impactful. And in hindsight, I think looking back, it's because a lot of us are sitting here having had childhoods ourselves where, whether it be photography or like a photo shoot or being in school or whatever, or even in our own homes, where we don't feel like we didn't have permission to be authentically ourselves. And so I think when people have seen these photos of these kids just sitting and not smiling and not being performative, and the fun backdrops are not there, and the colorful clothing and the perfect outfits, and this presentation, this performative experience isn't evident in the pictures, I think it makes people stop and be like, whoa, I'm feeling something around this. And it has been really powerful for me. And looking back, kind of assessing why I gravitated towards those so much. And truthfully, it is looking back and being like, well, one, I've always loved editorial style photos because it feels like a feeling and less like a photo when someone's not being so performative. And then also for myself of realizing, in my early 20s especially, I was someone that, I was on social media, I was on the scene, I was doing the things, I was posting selfies, and I would post these things, and the people closest to me were the ones that, which happens for most of us, they're usually the ones that are the most critical because, they love us. But
right.
I was in a place where they would make the little comments like, well, you look so mad, or you look angry, or you look upset, or you'd be prettier if you smiled, or the picture would be better if you smiled. And it created this narrative for myself of like, oh, they think I'm trying too hard. And that made me shrink. And even in my 20s, forget even children, like, and so I think I can, in hindsight, connecting that of like, not only do I love the style of photo, I love the contrast of it being a feeling instead of a photo, but also like, yeah, there's probably something there.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And I just really appreciate the natural way that you talked about, like, why do kids always have to be performing? Why is it that they show up so often like the parent's trophy instead of just being their child who they love with all their heart? I mean, why does everything have to look so perfect? I think it's one of the things that keeps people from actually dealing with traumas inside of their family, abuse inside their family, and not to take every conversation back to that, but I really do feel like if we had a better, more natural, organic way of having communication with our children and letting them be exactly who they are, have the feelings they have, not insist that they kiss this person or hug that one or say these things or believe everything we believe or do what we, play the sports or do the dance or whatever it is that we want them to do, but they actually can help in their own discovery of who they are, and we listen more and watch it unfold instead of trying to, make the little origami piece that looks exactly like perfect for your child.
Yep.
We would have children and young people, tweens and teens, who would talk and tell more openly. I just think this is a really interesting thing. So how did you get into photography, first of all? How did you decide this is what you wanted to do?
Well, it's really funny, and I actually love this story because I've never been trained in photography. I've never taken a class. I'm completely self-taught. And I dabbled in it after college a little bit and did a couple weddings, did a couple photo shoots for like engagements and family sessions and things like that. And then my husband and I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and the market was super intimidating to me here. It felt like, okay, because we lived in a small town, and it was one thing there to do it, and then totally different thing here to do it. And so I dropped it, and I worked in quality for years, and I did a whole lot of things for a long time. And then due to the pandemic, the marketing agency that I worked for experienced layoffs due to COVID. And so I was like, well, we got to figure something out. And I decided to pick up my camera after a candle company messaged me and was like, oh my gosh, we saw your picture. We loved it. Can you take some pictures for us? And I was like, well, this feels like a nudge. And so I said, sure, yeah, let's do it. And
light a match, light a candle. Candle company.
Yes, candle.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
they're amazing. Sparta Candle Company. Yeah, they did that and it was great. And so I did that for about a year and a half. That was my business, was just product photography, and I did all kinds of product photography for different types of businesses. And then, like I said, my niece came and I was like, I just had this creative itch. I missed people. I missed taking pictures of people. That's what it came down to. And so she was there and I said, do you want to do something fun? And she was down, and the kind of rest is history for where we're at now. And I absolutely love what I'm doing. I do. It's creatively energizing in so many ways.
That's really amazing. So you call these Moody mini sessions. Where'd the name come from? I mean, I get Moody, but I think I get it. But let's hear it from your genesis of how that how you started calling them that. Tell us a little bit about that. Moody mini sessions. I like it.
Yeah, mini sessions are really common. Like it's a really common thing these days. It's a more affordable way for families to have pictures taken for them. Lots of people do it for Christmas cards and holiday things and announcements and stuff like that. And so the mini session is really popular, but the Moody was more of a I didn't know that people were going to get what I was trying to do. I didn't know if people would understand that, I wanted to create these photos that were timeless and simplistic, but really authentic to them. And like I said, pared down the backgrounds. We're not out in a field. I don't want the perfect outfits. And I was very intentional. I wanted to create a type of aesthetic and a branding that went around with, this is what we're trying to do. We are trying to create an experience for your kid, most importantly, to be able to just be. And it's a vibe and it's a mood, and they're black and white intentionally, and it just strips everything out and creates that feeling. And the experience that they have is very different. I go through a whole process when I do these photo shoots, and one of the things is I ask them, have you ever done a photo shoot where it's just you? Not your family, not anybody else, just you, because that's a very vulnerable experience for anybody to be in front of a camera, but for a kid especially when it is just them. And most of them say no. If they've done it with their family, and maybe one or two pictures is of them or them and their siblings. But for most of them, it's the first time. And so that really helps kind of train my brain of, okay, this is really vulnerable for a lot of these kids, and we need to make sure that I go through that process being sensitive to that. So,
yeah, that's terrific. So what are some of the things that you do in order for them to feel safe and to be able to be vulnerable and not be scared of you? Because it is true. You think back about all the photos you took at whatever department store, and they'd shake the, the funny, the rabbit or the bear or the whatever. They'd shake some toy in front of your child, and there was always that big colorful background and trying to get your kid to laugh or smile, and that was the goal. And and then usually they would, but this is a whole different experience to have this insight into kind of the soul of that young person. How young do you photograph? How babies?
For these sessions, I have a cutoff of 5, just because the type of photo shoot that an environment and situation that we're trying to create is, I am telling them how to sit, and I am telling them, and they need to be able to do that in order to create the correct vibe. But my process is very intentional from the moment that they walk in. Honestly, before they even arrive, it's explaining. I always send out a message to the parents explaining, hey, this is what we're going to do today. We're creating an environment that is really relaxed, very easy and simple for them, so it's not overwhelming. And I want them to walk away feeling confident in what they experienced. And